I am rolling home in my, well, this makes 672 horsepower Corvette. Love the car. Not sure if I should have turned it up so much. So in this video, I'm going to be covering the details of this car as well as this type of car. And I have a question. Do you think it was worth it or not? I'm standing in front of a 2010 Grand Sport. So it's a C6 Grand Sport Corvette. What a Grand Sport is in this year is it's got bigger wheels, bigger brakes. It's got a bunch of different options. It hasn't got the aluminum frame in it, but doesn't matter to me. So the story behind the Grand Sport, in 1963, GM made a secret endurance car, and it was called the Grand Sport. And the name was dropped for a lot of years. In 2010, it became regular production car with this car. So this is the first Grand Sport. It came with an LS3. So these LS3s, they made lots of power from factory. They were 436 horsepower engine, which was plenty enough, I'm assuming. I bought the car, and it actually had a Magnuson Supercharger on it. And the Magnuson that it had on it was a TVS 2300. And it had a rattle in it. And long story short, I went to fix it, ended up blowing up tools to pull it apart, had to send it away to get it rebuilt, and I ended up basically putting a brand new supercharger on it, which was a lot more expensive than I wanted to do, but you know what? Super happy with it. When I had to send it away, I thought, you know what? I may as well increase my capability to turn this thing up. So I ended up buying a 3.4-inch pulley. And that's the first thing that you got to think about when you're going to supercharge something is if you go and you downsize the pulley, you're driving the supercharger harder, but as well, you end up having belt slip when you start doing that. So I bought what's called a super grip pulley, and it's still the original rib pulley. If you were going to go with another pulley, I don't know how much smaller you could go without going to a 10 rib. So I'm super happy with not going smaller because this thing right now makes 9-ish pounds of boost, depending on the atmosphere. It's definitely something you need to think about when everyone online says, oh, it makes this. Well, it definitely depends on your density, altitude, and your elevation. So around here, we're making about 9 PSI boost. Which was more than the original, and unfortunately I don't remember what that was, and I haven't looked up in the data logs, but it's making a lot more boost than the original Magnuson Supercharger. But this thing was put together by a reputable shop, and the supercharger that was on it was a kit from Magnuson. I don't know if the tune was or not, but I bought the car assuming because a reputable shop put this supercharger on, that it was going to be just fine. So I drove the car for quite a while without touching the tune, without even doing a data log on it. And it had the original LS3 injectors in it, which I didn't really think about anything about it at all because it was making lower boost and I was not really worried. This isn't my race car. But I decided that I should probably data log it. And we're at about 2,400 feet elevation here. And at the racetrack, during race day, we are around between 4,000 and 5,000 feet for DA. And so that comes into play with everything, but including what's going on. This was tuned at near that elevation, the other shop, and I was running in the like 12.3s in the quarter mile, 12.2, 12.3, and I decided, you know what, before I go to the racetrack again, I should data log it. Well, I pulled 6 degrees of timing out of the top end of this thing because it was pulling so much for detonation. And I was running 94 octane fuel when it was supposedly tuned on 91. And so by pulling that out, I dropped into almost 12 flat. I would hit 11 nines on occasion. And it was pretty fun, but it has these cars, it's an automatic 6-speed, and it comes with 273 gears. So very important, a 273 gear is meant to do top speeds, like really high-end speeds, not meant to do a quarter-mile thing. So first problem, if you're going to build a car like this, you got to decide what the purpose of it is. So is it going to be a drag car? Is it going to be a holiday car that gets great fuel economy? Well, I don't want to take the 273s out because the main purpose of this car is for holidays. Me turning it up, I don't know what I was thinking. But first of all, had to take timing out, put me into a quicker time. Then I decided to put that pulley on it. And as soon as I changed the pulley, I ended up where the stock, they were LS3 injectors. So this is the pulley I'm talking about. I put those LS3 and had the LS3 injectors in. And when I hit 5,500 RPM, before I changed the pulley, I was already at 100% duty cycle for the injectors. So long story short, when you put a Magnuson 2300 on, you really got to consider changing the injectors, and you got to make sure that you aren't going to have a problem with the timing. Now, me not looking at things, just thinking it was fine, I took, and if I would have upped the injectors, it might have taken some of the knock out of it. Because we had a problem where it was probably going a little bit lean on the top, and I wish I would have paid more attention when that happened. After I started doing the modifications to it, I ended up putting in LS9 injectors. So those were stock injectors out of the supercharged cars. So it's the same injector that would have come in CTSV Cadillac, stuff like that. So I put those injectors in, but before I did that, I put the bigger pulley or the smaller pulley on it, and I put a booster pump on, hoping that it would be able to handle it. It was not. So I drove this around with limited RPM for a year before I could get to the rest of the mods. So I ended up taking and figuring out how to put a Hellcat fuel pump in the tank, which I have videos on, and it is a pain, but it is a really nice upgrade doing that fuel pump. I do have to say that I have been fighting with this for hours, and it finally went, and I learned that I have skinny arms. It's a bit of a pain. Anyway, what I have to say is that ring, when it's lined up to go in, is not hard. So I am saying if you have to use a tool on that little lock ring, there's an issue, because I was up there and I'm like, oh, do I need a tool? Whatever. Anyway, the thing that I found out with this is on the end of the crossover tube, I don't have a picture of it and I ain't pulling it apart to do it. There's a little taper, and then it goes smooth into stainless, and then there's a little bulb. Well, this thing, it wouldn't go in, and I pulled it out, looked at it 1,000 times, well, not 1,000 times, about 4 times. Everything looks smooth. I have so much lube in there, I'm going to be burning lube for fuel. Anyways, the last time I pulled it out, I raised the tank, lowered the tank, tried doing stuff with the passenger's tank to get more room in there. Anyway, I kept pulling it out, looking at it. Finally, it kind of fell into place really nice. It took a little bit of a push, but I saw that little bulge go inside the tank, put the ring on, and it just literally, it is that hard to get in there. So we ended up going with a Hellcat fuel pump, LS9 injectors, a 3.4 pulley. Then I wasn't comfortable running that with the cooling system for the intercooler for this the way it was. So I ended up hiding a methanol kit in, and it's a kit that I made up, and I have the recipe for that kit online as well, how to put that in. Here's that line I made, tightened up nice, and I used AN wrenches. Make sure you do that. You don't want to mark everything up. and ran it along, up along the frame. And I am on the outside. I got it tied with zip ties. And on this side, there's a P-clamp. So if we look under the hood, the pump is actually hidden in the front bumper. The injector is pretty clean here. And how I fill my methanol kit is I actually am running washer fluid, and it serves the windshield as well as the water methanol injection. Now, the other reason that I'm probably hitting quite high boost for that pulley size is because I chose to leave stock manifolds on it. Even though it has a Maggie under the hood, I decided I want to keep this thing as stock as possible. So it has stock exhaust, which has the cutouts on the Grand Sport. So that's kind of nice. And anyway, the combination right now works really well. We're making big horsepower with this thing, which now is another problem. You definitely have to think about tires. So if you're going to do something like this and turn it up, you need to think about tires, because if I'm at the track with a stickier tire, this thing, if I leave in first gear, it wheel hops so bad that it knocks the teeth out of your head. It is terrible. So what I'm doing is leaving full traction control on. I am stalling it as high as I can on the traction control from the line, leaving in second. When I leave, we'll throw a little video clip in there. The tires definitely are spinning. When I start getting down the track, the tires begin to spin as well, and the traction control is really active. So me turning this all up made it so that I ended up going from a high 12 or high 11.9 to I'm running 11.8. I'm going out the top end at, you know, I think I could look at time slips, but it's just under 120 mile an hour. So at the top end of the track, this is really picking up. So is it worth it to do this? Well, if you have somewhere to use all that power on the highway to go that fast, absolutely. If you're planning on going the track route, these are the decisions you're going to have to make. You're going to have to probably take and make the back suspension in this thing more solid. So you're going to have to put different polyurethane bushings in it. You're probably going to have to change your suspension in this to make it hook a little bit better. I don't know for sure, but I would invest in a set of actual good shocks that are totally adjustable on this thing so that we can get it to launch. So if I go and I put solid bushings in this car, well, these cars are pretty nice cars to drive. If anyone has taken a Corvette on a long trip, I never wanted to own a Corvette until I actually drove one of the newer ones. And so if I want to go on a long holiday and I have solid mounted rear suspension, I just took my drivability out of it. The main purpose of this car is for us to cruise and have holidays in. And so what's really cool with the modern stuff, this thing gets roughly 32 miles to the gallon at about 120. Well, a little better at 110 because we don't go 120, I guess, right? That's kilometers an hour, not miles an hour. So anyways, the decisions that you have to make are, if I want to go down the track faster, that suspension, as well as I got to put a lower rear end gear in it. And technically, if I did those things, this thing would be running in the nines. But now what I've done is I have made a car that I can't holiday in. And this car, I mean, it's a Jetstream blue convertible, which is another thing. I can't run it at the track anymore because I don't have a roll cage. It's a convertible. So do I want to take my convertible and put a full cage in it so that I can actually run in the nines? Well, that's going to kind of wreck my car. So long story short, is it worth to put power in? Well, I enjoy it a whole bunch. My wife kind of gets scared a little bit once in a while, especially if she uses the go pedal. And do I really want to take and modify the whole car? I probably, if I was going to do this again, I would probably leave the stock Magnuson Supercharger the kit on. I would put a different fuel pump in it and different injectors, but I would leave the boost level low because it is a lot of fun. Like, it gets better miles per gallon than miles per gallon. So really fun car, but I have a question. If you were doing this car, being a convertible, being the main purpose as a holiday car, would you turn it up more? Because it's pretty easy to turn up more. I'd have to change some pulleys, but I'm sacrificing a bunch of stuff. I could go every time I want to go to race and change a bunch of stuff, and maybe, I don't know if you could get a bolt-in cage for this, but I don't want a cage in this car. So let me know what your thoughts are. We could rip this power plant out and put in something else. My wife would be really happy with me with that. I guarantee she would be good with that. Let me know what you think. Drop your comments. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.